Wow. Thank you for being here today. How many people are here to change the world? Yes. I am so glad. I knew I was in good company. That's what I want to talk about today. My name's Tanaya San, and I'm here to talk about how we can change collective consciousness to change our world. But I want to start more than 20 years ago. It was early May. I was 36, and I was crying. Actually, I was bawling. I sobbed for 3 weeks every night. And then for another 2 months, I cried, I prayed, I pleaded. I wanted peace. I wanted peace of mind. I wanted solace. I wanted somebody to show up in my mind, in my world, to show me true essence, to show me love, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, I wanted it. I didn't really know what was wrong with me. I just knew I felt a lot of pain and that I had been trying a lot of things and nothing was working. I tried meditation, I tried therapy, I tried affirmations, religion, spirituality. I even tried est. And nothing seemed to have any effect on the sadness, the anger, the anxiety that I felt. And the truth is that the people that were trying to help me didn't know what was wrong either. Because back then, people didn't know what happened to a young human spirit who was subjected to the emotional abuse of an alcoholic family, or was subjected to living with a mother who didn't know whether she wanted to live or take her life. And that child is left with trying to be the emotional and spiritual healer for the family. That was me. People know a whole lot more how to help those people, but we didn't even talk about it back then. And so I was really left to my own. And my friends and my loved ones, they didn't know what was wrong either. And they were a little challenged because here was this person that seemed so loving and caring and fun. And they would say one thing, and on a dime, she could switch to sarcasm and meanness and anger or anxiety, control, blame, lots of blame, and lots of defensiveness. And so I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know it was me because it all seemed like it was out there that was the problem. So I prayed. And one day, I was at a church that I was attending at the time, and a fellow came up to me and he was talking to me about a woman he had met in San Francisco, an enlightened woman. And my heart burst open. Now, I didn't know anything about enlightenment or what it meant, but as soon as he said her name, I knew my prayers had been answered. And I quickly became Santosha's student, and I am so incredibly grateful for her. Because for 6 years, she held me close to her with her infinite love, incredible patience, and with razor-sharp clarity, she held up the mirror. And for 6 years, I defended against looking in that mirror. I defended against looking at the painful and destructive behavior patterns that were mine. But one day, she brought all her small band of students together. And in that meeting, she asked, "Who in that room do you feel most hurt by?" Well, you might guess right now from my story that all of the fingers pointed here. But what was interesting, in that day, I didn't feel defended. I didn't want to run out of the room. I didn't feel angry. I was open, listening. Because 2 days before that, something had changed in my life and changed me forever. 2 days before that, we'd been meditating with Santosha, and for some reason in that meditation, I let go. I let go of the mental constructs and the thought patterns that were that pain. And I fell into that stillness that's always present. And from that day on, I knew that it was letting go of mental constructs and the associated emotion and physical tension that would help me find that peace. So at 42 years old, on December 24th, I really started my life because the pendulum had shifted now from pain and suffering to a path of love. And you might ask why I tell that story. It's not very flattering. But I love that story because it shows the incredible strength of the human spirit and the power of love to grab hold of that heart and pull it back to itself, back to love. And my own story of stuckness and openness is what gives me so much conviction that we can change this world. In spite of the pain and the suffering and the lack that we see here, we can change it. But how do we do that? I've been asking myself that. Well, if we collectively create our reality, then can't we collectively create something, a new life where well-being is for everyone, not just some? I think we can. I think about Egypt and the revolution they had there. And in that, there were individuals and small groups that came together with one intention. And with that one intention was incredible power. And very quickly, they shifted and changed the face of Egypt. But how do we change collective consciousness? Well, here's what I've been thinking about. We all have our stories of limitations, and we all have our stories of openings, just like mine, just like Egypt. And if we can somehow pull those common threads of limitations and the common threads of opening, then we can bring our power together for change. And you know, it didn't take the whole population of Egypt for change. It only took a percentage. Do you think there's enough people on our planet like you and me that want to change, that we could do it? Yes. I think we are. I think we're there. Mm-hmm. So what are those common threads, though? I've identified 3. And they're core beliefs that have been on our planet for a long time. And I want to share them with you today. And then I would like to invite you to participate in an exercise for helping to dissolve them. Are you willing to do that? Yes. Cool. So for me to share them, I want to do a little bit of pretend. I want to pretend that there's some visitors from a different planet, far off planet, here. Let's call it Planet Love or Super Love. Planet Super Love. So we have visitors from Planet Super Love. And they want to know, what is it like to live here as a human being on this planet? What are our challenges? And what do we know about ourselves? So here's what I would share with them. I would share with them that there are 3 core beliefs. And the first one is called original sin, or there's something inherently wrong with us. And because of that, most people walk around with a sense of unworthiness and always looking for something outside of themselves to tell them they're okay. And they're always trying to fix themselves to fit some kind of standard to say that they were okay. And then there's a second belief, and that one's called survival of the fittest. And with that one, people are always competing against one another for these limited resources, or what seems like limited resources. And there's a few people that seem to be very good at this competition, and they have lots of resources. But instead of sharing them, they hoard them and they try to control them. And the third core belief I would tell them is something called only matter matters, or only our physicality matters. And spirit is something either to be afraid of, it doesn't exist, or it's just not important. And the people on planet Earth believe this, and they believe all three of them very unconsciously. But this one, they walk around kind of looking for something, but not finding it. And they do, and they do, and they do, and they do, and they still don't find it. And the idea of being just doesn't exist. But what's worse is that because they think everything's solid, they don't understand they can change anything. But, I would say, there's this band of people, this group, that are starting to understand and know the truth of themselves. And it really is the antithesis of those three beliefs. What they know about themselves is that we are each divine, unique gifts and contribution to the world. You only need to look at a child and see the beauty in that child and know there's nothing to prove. And what they know, what that band of people know, is that there is enough for everyone to thrive. It's only a matter of distribution. And we are collaborative beings. I only need to look at my clothes, the car that got me here, this building. My very sustenance is because of the contribution of other people. We all here serve and care for one another. And this band of people also know that they are infinite beings. They know everything's energy. And so it's not that hard to change. They know that they are infinite beings of light, of possibility and potential. And they're working individually and collectively to change things. Well, this gets our little visitors pretty excited. Because they're from Super Love. They already know this. And so I said, well, I want to share with you, visitors, an exercise that we are doing to change and dissolve these limitations so that everybody in the world can live in love. So are you willing to participate in this with me? Cool. So let's first take a couple deep breaths and get into our bodies, feel our bodies. Come back into this space. And then feel your energetic body and allow it to expand with each breath. Allow it to expand to the edges of this room. And then with another deep breath, out to the edges of Yosemite and Yosemite Falls. And with another big breath, more, bigger, out to the edges of the planet and out into space. Wow, that feels good, doesn't it? Yeah. Our natural selves. And now, while holding that expansion, I want you to bring in those limitations that are associated with original sin, survival of the fittest, and matter only matters. This is not the funnest part of the exercise, but let's bring them in the room because they're only energy, it's okay, and we are going to dissolve them. So bring them in the room, and verbally we're going to say out loud things, images, and feelings that come up that are associated with that. Say them out loud. So I would say unworthiness, lack. Go ahead, join me. Say them out loud. War, poverty, heaviness. Yeah, bring it in. It's only energy. We're going to dissolve it. The more that we can bring them in, the more that we can dissolve. Yeah, bring it in. Bring it in. Love, wonderful. Okay, good. We've got it in the room. We are expanded beings. Now, let's bring in that infinite energy that we are, and we're going to bring that into those core beliefs and bring in the infinite energy into those core beliefs so that we can dissolve them. So with a deep breath, keep bringing in that energy, bring it into those core beliefs, fill them up. Fill them up. Bring it in. Pull it in. Big breaths. Yes, with a count of 3, we are going to dissolve them. Big breaths. Ready? 1, 2, 3. With the infinite power and energy of the universe, we now dissolve any and all limitations, now and for all time and space, for ourselves and for every being in collective consciousness. We dissolve them to their roots. All limitations associated with original sin, survival of the fittest, and only matter matters, into its infinite space and back into the infinites that it is. And we now relax into our knowingness and our embodiment that we are infinite beings with unique gifts and contributions. That there is enough for everyone to thrive in our collaborative human community. And in our infinites, we live in true essence with well-being for all now. Namaste. Thank you. I can be reached at www.livetrueessence.com.